Hey, welcome to the Social 333 podcast. I'm your host, Chris Bentley. Today, my guest is Robbie Shoults. Robbie, did I get it right?
Hey, you got it right, brother.
Awesome. Tell everybody a little bit about yourself and what you got going on.
Hey, yeah. Okay, so my name is Robbie Shoults, and I am third generation head honcho and owner of Bear Creek Smokehouse over in Marshall, Texas. And we are in our 83rd year of business. My granddad started it way back there in 1943. And man, I tell you, since 1943 up until today, it's been a rodeo every day.
That's what I was going to ask you about, because that was one of the things that really intrigued me about your profile, was that it's 83 years old, and it had to have gone through some up and downs, right? Our audience is entrepreneurs, business owners, and even myself. I've gone through a lot of ups and downs. Even today, I went through a down, right? So,
Sure.
Talk a little bit about just kind of some persistence. I'm sure family gets involved. I'm sure there's probably some negativity here and there. Kind of talk to me about a little bit of that stuff.
Sure, you betcha. And I want to give you a brief history of how the business started. So back turn of the century, my great-granddad bought all the property out where we live and everything, and they were raising cotton and corn and had hogs and cattle, all that sort of thing. My grandparents were scraping off the land trying to make a living. And he had an uncle that was an ag teacher out in Grapeland, Texas. And he told my granddad, his nickname was Hick. He said, Hick, you can put more pounds of gain on a turkey per pound of feed fed than you can hogs or cattle. So in 1943, he and my grandmother purchased 600-day-old turkey poults and started raising them. And anyway, and his uncle was right. Per pound of feed fed, you could get more pounds of meat out of turkeys because they get ready faster to go to market. And so that first season, Thanksgiving and Christmas, he had people coming from all over to grab a turkey for Thanksgiving or Christmas dinner, He would actually have little old ladies bring their pans out and say, Hick, I think that one right there will fit in my pan. And he'd say, yes, ma'am. He would go catch it, bring it to her, and dress it and send it home with him. So, that business was very seasonal, fourth quarter mainly. Mm-hmm. And so over the years, they developed other recipes. They started smoking hams and doing bacon, all types of sausages, pork tenderloin, all the things, smoked meat. And so anyway, that kind of helped start rounding out the business a little more where it wasn't quite so seasonal. So, even in today's business climate, there's still a lot of challenges out there with rising prices, and we go through lots and lots of pork these days. And so, pork belly is a commodity. So we see that trend just up and down. The market is just real volatile. And so, we're always looking for ways to make adjustments in our business, the way we operate and everything, to cut corners here and there, not on quality or anything like that, but just to make our business run more smoothly and more profitable.
Now, I'm probably going to ask you, I'm a city kid, and my grandfather was really big on farms. I go out to his farm all the time. And so I always had these questions, and hopefully maybe you can answer them for me, right? So Again, just keep in mind that I'm a dumb city kid, right? But I never really understood how a lot of that stuff works, right? So let's say that I get some land and it's set up for agriculture. I buy a couple cows, let's say, to start out, or I buy a couple hogs or whatever it is.
Right.
How does it work out? You gotta know somebody to get it to market, kind of deal. You gotta know somebody that's a vet that comes out and does the vet checks and stuff like that. How does all that stuff work?
Okay, well, vets are pretty much readily available to anyone, like on a farm or whatever. We'll either haul our animals to the vet, or we can call him and he'll come out. Of course, it's better to haul them in. And as far as being able to take your animals to market, there are auction barns set up in just about every county in Texas. So let's say you did get a couple of cows and you wanted to sell offspring or whatever, you could take them to the auction barn and get them sold with no problem. And cattle prices are really strong right now.
Mm. So is it more of a transportation thing then? The piece that I'm missing.
The piece you're missing? Yeah.
Well,
a lot of times there's a lot of little cowboys that work at these auction barns, and all you got to do is give them a call, and they'll be happy to come round your animals up and
really?
Take them in their trailer. Yeah.
Wow.
May cost $100 or $200, to get them caught and hauled in, but they will certainly do it for you.
So what happens, and I know you were talking about a couple cows had calves during the ice storm and stuff. How does that work? Do you obviously you're on a farm, so eventually at some point, you can kind of see. Obviously, it's a pattern. You can see what's going on. You have generations of family members doing this, but for somebody like myself that, like, let's say that I did start something very small. How does that work? I just bring the vet out and say, hey, like we just had a calf, and this kind of stuff is going on.
Well, normally they give birth without any problems, okay? However, we had some extreme weather conditions back in January, and we had 6 born. And first thing, the way those baby calves got welcomed to this big old world is they landed on ice, when they were born, which is pretty brutal birth right there. But we had one actually that was born up during the day. It was sleeting really hard and everything, and the calf was just shivering, and they were born wet, and with sleet falling on them or whatever, they just couldn't get dried off, and it was so cold. I loaded him up in my ranch truck. We took him to the house and put him in front of the fireplace for overnight, and returned it to the mama the next day. It was a happy reunion, and the calf's doing great to this day.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Tell me a little bit about, we're switching up a little bit, about the business side of it. So I know that you're in Walmart, Publix, Kroger, like a lot of different places. How did that kind of start out? Did you have to go out and kind of pitch them? They come out to you?
Well, Chris, we've been very fortunate. We have a great network of brokers that we use across the country, people that maybe live in cities where the buying offices are, and they have great relationships with the buyers. And so we use that network of brokers to help get our product into the stores. But yes, we've been very blessed, and we have a great distribution network on some of the Bear Creek products.
I know that you guys got a cookbook. You guys have kind of like a family store where you guys sell a lot of products outside of just the meat and stuff like that. You receive congressional recognition from both Texas House of Representatives and the U.S. Senate. Mm-hmm. That's pretty cool.
Yes, sir.
Was this like a letter, or like they actually brought you in front? Or
well, had some stuff delivered and so forth. Yes, sir. But it was quite an honor, and we've gotten to do a lot of things over our 83 years, and it's just always special to get recognized. We're way out in the middle of the country. Mm-hmm. Okay, we're 8 miles from the closest town of 25,000. Wow. So, I like to tell people we're in our own little slice of heaven out there, and we've got that big general store. We've got Texas Longhorns out front. Nice. Where families come out, kids can go out and feed the Longhorns and that sort of thing. We've got the barbecue pit back there. And I want to take just a minute to invite anyone that's traveling through East Texas to stop by Bear Creek General Store. Let us feed you, roll out the red carpet for you, and make you feel like family.
That's awesome. I would definitely go out there.
Yes, sir. We'd love to have you.
Tell me a little bit about just some. I know you got the YouTube channel for the recipes and stuff, which is real, real cool. Just talk about some of the business side of it. So, when you get into a family business, I'm sure there's some disagreements, like any other family business. I'm sure there was probably some times where you probably kind of scratch your head and was like, this ain't really for me. Maybe I'll just go back to, getting the 9 to 5 or, maybe doing something else, whatever that is. Yeah. Tell me a little bit about just kind of the journey of not so much maybe before you, but kind of yourself, period. Just kind of going through everything and like some of the tough times, because all the entrepreneurs, all small business owners have tough times. And we interview a bunch. I've had a bunch of tough times, and we always kind of like talk about it. I mean, there's been some times where, you get close to moving into your car. There's been some times where, I've interviewed guests where they lived in their car, so there's been a lot of times where, it could be even relationships, where with a significant other that just drain you. Talk a little bit about that, some of the stuff that you've had to face, some of the stuff that you did to like kind of overcome that stuff. Yeah.
Okay, sure. So, I'm the third generation, as I was saying before. And, I watched my dad grow up in this business. He brought me up in it and everything. And there's, from generation to generations, there's always challenges. My son is a fourth generation, and he runs the plant operations oversees all the employees in the plant, the production facility, and all that sort of thing. And so from generation to generation, the younger kids always have new ideas and this sort of thing. And it's always, sometimes it's hard for a generation back to wrap their head around all this kind of stuff. We just most recently bought a big high-powered slicer, and I mean, Chris, it does everything. You run meat into it, and it lays it out there on a conveyor belt faster than you can even pick it up. It goes directly into another machine that packs it and everything. And we're talking about a lot of money here. And my son, he looked into it. We can save this much and this much on labor, and he's really good at all that. Figuring out cost, and he's a real production guy, and he likes to continue to improve production and get more pounds out per day and all that kind of stuff. And it's great. And so sometimes I just have to, take a back seat to some of those ideas and everything and say, hey, you know what? You've done your homework, and I believe you're right on this one. And so, I like just because you've been doing the same thing forever, sometimes we have a tendency to fall over in ruts, wagon ruts or whatever, and it's hard to crawl back out. I might not have ever bought the machine, but it was something, it was kind of his baby. We flew up to Kansas City and looked at the machine. It's a German-made machine. And anyway, it's fabulous. It's been a great asset to us. And we made the right decision. Would I have done all the research on it and figured all that out? Probably not, but neither would my dad have done that. And but Hunter did it. And, he's got a son, Barrett. We call him Bear. And he's coming up in the business, and he'll be the next generation. So always looking for new ideas, and I don't ever want to discount anything that they come up with or whatever, because everything's worth taking a look at. Just because we've been doing things for a long time a certain way doesn't always mean it's the best way to do it.
I'm sure social media changed a lot for you guys. Are you guys doing a lot of social media stuff?
Oh boy, yeah, we are. We have Facebook. We have a ton of followers. We have Instagram. We got the YouTube and everything. And anyway, it's a great tool because you can make the most of it as what you want it to be.
Right.
And it's just been an amazing tool for us. And we probably don't take advantage of it quite like we should because I'm not that tech savvy. And my son is, but he's busy doing other things. So I've got some people helping me that with the Facebook and that sort of thing. And but it's a great tool, and it's out there. It's just out there for the taking.
Yeah, I wouldn't mind, kind of taking a look to see. I haven't checked out the YouTube channel yet, but I wouldn't mind taking a look to see like a day in the life. Some of the day in the life stuff is real cool because you get to like kind of peer back the curtain and be like, okay, this is what really happens with the cattle or the hogs or this or that, and normal day on the farm kind of deal.
Yeah,
I think that'd be really cool because you got a lot of city people like myself that they weren't really exposed to that. So waking up early to go do this and we got to go do that, and we found out that this isn't working right, so I got to go fool around with that for a bit. I think that'd be really cool.
Yeah, so that's the thing about the general store sitting out there. And this building is separate and apart from the plant. It's like right at 17,000 square feet.
Wow.
And we've got, it's like a Cracker Barrel on steroids. But
I was going to say something about that, yeah.
Yeah, we have barbecue in the back. We've got a big pit in the back. You can go back to the pit room, take a look around, We give you a tray, you go back there. We've got brisket laying out, pork loin, ribs, turkey, sausage, and you pick what you want. We just slice it and put it on your tray. But we're sitting out there in the middle of all these rolling hills of East Texas, longhorns out front and everything. And, there's still, it's like you were talking about, there's still a certain mystique about the country that, folks that didn't have the opportunity to grow up in the country, they may live in the city. It's intriguing. I mean, they want to come out and see what that life's all about. And we're always happy to share a little slice of that life with everybody when they come out. And, we just try to provide the best customer service, the best experience, and, the best food we know how to make, and just offer that to everyone that comes out and try to roll out the red carpet, like I said a while ago, and just make everybody feel like they're at home.
If there was one, and this is going to be a tough one, if there was one thing that you could go back and change in the business, that you would be light years ahead from where you are now, like what would it be? Like what would you have changed? Would you have changed like a marketing or a machine or a business concept or?
You know what? We have a mail order catalog, and it's just been kind of status quo. We got the website too. I wish back years ago, and it's not too late to do this, to hire a top-notch marketer to really push that, because we've got some great products that we mail order. Like, you know, the smoked turkey is the one that brought us to the dance. That's what my granddad started with back in the 40s. We've got Christmas hams. We've got all kinds of great products. We've got supplies for charcuterie boards and everything you can think of. Probably I should have hired like a top-notch, you know, marketing guru to come in there a while back, so that maybe we're a little closer to the top of the food chain in today's market, you know.
I could see that. But you've done really, really great. 83 years is a long time. And in a lot of big companies like Walmart or stores, I should say, Walmart, Publix, Kroger. So definitely commend you. Great job.
I appreciate it. Thank you very much.
Awesome. Where can they find you, Robbie, if they want to get some smoked good stuff, or maybe get some stuff delivered, or just maybe want to talk to you about farming like me?
Yeah. Well,
ranching, I should say.
Yes, sir. You just go to bearcreeksmokehouse.com. I would encourage everybody to follow us on Facebook and Instagram, Bear Creek Smokehouse. Keep up with the latest and greatest happenings in downtown Bear Bottom, Texas.
Robbie, I appreciate you being on the show.
Thank you.
Awesome.
I appreciate it.